Iowa can be a wonderful place to live, but today we're going to talk about 10 reasons that you might want to avoid this place. So stick around to the end. So what's up, guys? My name is Tony, and my business partner is my wife, Anna. We're real estate agents here in Iowa. If you're interested in what it's like to live, work, play, eat, and buy or sell real estate here in Iowa, then this is the channel for you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so every time we come out with a new video, you get notified every single week. We have many people reaching out, asking us what it's like living in Iowa, what they can expect. Absolutely love it. So if this is you and you have questions about what it's like living here, make sure you leave a comment after this video. Also, if you are moving to Iowa in 10 days or 10 months, be sure to reach out with a phone call, text, or email, as we love talking to people about what it's like getting relocated to this wonderful place in the country and helping people make that smooth move to Iowa. Also, we have agents all throughout the state helping with the Living in Iowa team. So it doesn't matter where you are, make sure to reach out if this list doesn't scare you away. So today we're talking about the 10 reasons you should probably avoid Iowa. Now, I'm not saying these are negative. I'm not saying they're positive. I've lived here for over 30 years, so I've experienced all this stuff, and I have my own opinions, but that's not my job to give you my opinion of if it's good or not. My job is to tell you about the experience and let you decide if this is a positive or negative, and if Iowa is the place that you want to call home. So the very first one on the list is Iowa is moderately red state. The reason Iowa has voted for a conservative governor and president for some time now is because the rural areas voting largely red. Now, the bigger cities like Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and others voted all blue. This means that we have polar opposites in the rural areas compared to the cities like a lot of other states across the United States. Depending on where you live, you can have the best of both worlds, which can make it a positive for some people. From my experience of living here in Iowa my entire life, Iowa people are known for being nice. And no matter who you are or what you believe in, there is a place for you in Iowa. Iowa does not get a huge influx of people each year from other states like some of the faster growing states. This means that people do not care as much about where you're coming from. Now, number 2, the weather in Iowa. Iowa can get very cold in the winter with below freezing temperatures that can start as soon as October and go all the way through part of March before the weather finally breaks. Depending on the year, it can be very cold with moderate amounts of snow as well. This can make roadways covered for months depending on how long the temperatures stay cold. January and February can be especially brutal, with many days of below zero at night and even days that don't get positive temperatures at all. Now, in the summer, you have the reverse of the winter. Some theorize that the reason it's humid in Iowa is because of the corn, but it does get extremely humid here in Iowa during the summers. It ranks consistently in the top 5 for most humid states in the United States. It can be very uncomfortable May through August with high humidity and temperatures reaching 90s and occasional 100-degree days. Rainfall is moderate in Iowa, which is why we have such good farming in the state. You don't see any irrigation across pretty much the whole state, as Iowa does not need it, with fertile soil and moderate amounts of rain. This makes gardening and planting your own crops and fruit trees very fruitful. We have a garden each year and it always seems to do well because of the humidity and moderate amounts of rain. Number 3, tornadoes and thunderstorms. Iowa is not necessarily the same category of Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and Missouri when it comes to tornadoes, but we are not exempt from tornadoes and strong thunderstorms though. We already had a very large and destructive tornado earlier this year in southeast Iowa that caused significant damage, and luckily only one person was killed. A few years ago, Cedar Rapids got the brunt of a storm called a derecho. The derecho was horrible as Cedar Rapids had 90+ mile-an-hour winds for over 40 minutes straight. The destruction is hard to describe as almost every single residence in Cedar Rapids had moderate to significant damage, with many left without power for up to 2 weeks. And even some of the houses were completely totaled. It was a terrible storm that in Iowa is possible to have along with other tornadoes, and you can also have large tornadoes. If these types of storms scare you, or you are a deal breaker, then you may want to avoid Iowa. Number 4, wildlife in Iowa is boring to some, as we don't have big game here. The prize hunt is the white-tailed deer, with some of the largest white-tailed deer in the world in Northeast Iowa. As far as elk, moose, bear, mountain lion, wolves, and some of the big game that attract people to vacation in places like Yellowstone, Glacier National Park, Teton National Park, and other big game parts of the United States, Iowa has none of those. There is a caveat, as there is an occasional mountain lion that creeps into Iowa from the north, but they are not common. We have even seen black bear creep into northern parts of Iowa as well. Usually locals contact the DNR and they're taken out of the state, as Iowans do not like having them in their communities. Now, if you're a fisherman, there are a few good fishing areas like the Mississippi River on the east side of the state and the Missouri River on the west side of the state. And some lakes that are good places, but not many are traveling to the state of Iowa to fish, as bordering states like Minnesota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin are much better fishing. The good thing is some of the best fishing in the whole United States and world is within driving distance of Iowa. You may want to avoid Iowa if any of these about wildlife are a turnoff to you. Number 5, tourism in Iowa is almost non-existent. For the most part, the people coming to visit Iowa usually have family, work, or friends in the area, and that is why they are visiting the state. Although a term not many Iowans like is Iowa is known as a flyover state. The surprising thing to people who live in the state is that more people do not tour areas like Northeast Iowa, as it is beautiful in the Mississippi River Valley, or tour cities like Des Moines more, as there are plenty to do in cities in Iowa. Overall, people are avoiding Iowa as a place to take their vacations, and an influx of people in the state does not affect anyone's day-to-day, which is nice for people like myself that like their peace and tranquility. Little tourism means that there isn't much disruption at any point of the year. Overall though, if you want to live in a state where people are vacationing, then Iowa is definitely not the state for you. Number 6, the people here in Iowa are extremely nice and like to get to know their neighbors. If you're someone that doesn't like people asking about your life or trying to get to know you when they are your neighbors, then you may not like it here. The people here don't typically mean anything by it. They're just trying to be nice, but it can get annoying when anything happens and your neighbors try to find out what happened. Overall though, your neighbors are here for you in Iowa, and it's nice to know that you can count on your neighbors in Iowa. Of course, there are always those neighbors that are more harm than good, but overall, the people are just being neighborly. Iowa nice is a term thrown around, and for the most part, the people are nice, which is a breath of fresh air. Number 7, allergies. In the springtime, Iowa humidity, pollen, and chemicals on crops and many other factors make it really rough on allergies in this state. Before, I was more loose with my diet and did not pay attention to what I ate and how I took care of myself. Now I take a lot better care of myself and never really have the allergy problem for the most part. But it used to be that spring, sometimes through fall, my allergies were horrible. I would take all sorts of over-the-counter drugs to help, but nothing seemed to really help them. It was just part of my life then. Fortunately now, I don't have them nearly as bad or at the same rate. And this year I haven't really had any allergies, which is a blessing. But if you are someone that gets really bad allergies, Iowa is a place that can bring them on hardcore. If this is something you are weary on, it is better to know up front than to be left hanging. Number 8, for those who like entertainment, Iowa is lacking in that department. Other than the larger cities in Iowa, you have little to no entertainment that some other states have. We do have bigger universities that many people go all in with their fandom on. The state of Iowa is divided between Iowa and Iowa State. The rivalry of these two universities and who you side with can get a little over the top at times, especially Iowa fans, as I know a number of Iowa fans that are absolute fanatics. I tend to support both universities, but it is pretty polarizing. Now, bringing in entertainers such as singers isn't out of the realm of possibility here in Iowa, but the frequency of the best is not up to par with states that have larger cities than Iowa. One of our favorite entertainment options in Iowa, though, is the Iowa State Fair. It is a very large and clean fair that is a lot of fun for families and just anyone. You can see all the farm animals, as they have tons of cows, pigs, horses, goats, chickens, and much more. It is fun to see all the animals. Also, the food at the fair is absolutely great, as there are many fried options, including fried ice cream. We personally love the funnel cakes at this time of year. They have a nice sized area with fair rides for kids and tons of kid-friendly activities throughout to do. They also have great entertainers at the Iowa State Fair each year, and this is an event that people from all over the country attend. In Iowa, it is a huge deal. Overall, there are things to do in Iowa. It takes a bad rap, but is not as boring as some make it out to be. Now, number 9, corn, soybean fields. Iowa has a tag or stigma of being boring. A large part of that, if you come here in late spring through fall, you'll see cornfields and soybean fields for miles upon miles. Much of the state is very flat and has some very fertile soil. Now, this means that Iowa farmers take advantage of this by growing GMO corn and GMO soybeans. Now, there are areas of Iowa that are not flat and not completely saturated with corn and soybean fields. There are very beautiful areas in Iowa, especially northeast Iowa mentioned before, where you have Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak is the highest point in Iowa, and you have many rolling hills in this area that make it very scenic. There are also the Makokata Caves that is a sight to see as well. It is a very impressive cave that won't disappoint. Overall, if you do not like corn, soybean fields, you better get to know Iowa, as that is a big part of Iowa's landscape. Number 10, bugs. There is a silver lining to this, so make sure to stick around. That doesn't make it as bad as some places, but as soon as the nice weather starts in the spring, the bugs are on their way as well. We have a lot of gnats, spiders, and mosquitoes, to name a few of the bugs that are just a pest, no matter how you spin it. The mosquitoes can be very aggressive, and if you do not have a working bug spray on you, you may regret that decision. Then you have the gnats that don't bite, but they are the biggest pests ever. They like to collect near your head area, get in your eyes, nose, and ears. They're very, very annoying here in Iowa. Another common pest is spiders. They like to get in your house and can multiply quickly. My wife absolutely hates seeing them in our house, and no matter what you do, they always seem to get in. It's just part of living in Iowa. There are also these little black bugs that like to bite. When they are around, you know it, as their bites hurt really bad. Not sure the name of them, but if you do know, put it in the comments below, because I like to know the name of those bugs. The silver lining that I told you I would tell you about is the winter. Once winter comes, most all the insects go with it, as the freezing temperatures kill them off. I love when we have a couple of 20-degree nights, then it heats back up for a few weeks, as most of the bugs are dead, and you can enjoy the excellent weather bug-free. Winter is a time when you can get a break from those pesky bugs. Again, guys, these are my top 10 reasons why you should probably avoid Iowa. Not saying they're a negative, not saying they're a positive. Been here 30 years, and this has been my experience of what it's like living here. So put in the comments, do you think these things are a positive, or do you think that my list is a negative? And which ones? Is there things that Iowa should improve on, or should it never ever change and just stay the same? If you're serious about moving here, please make sure to reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text. And if you like this video, leave that comment, hit the thumbs up, and tap the notification bell, so every time we come out with a new video, you get notified. Until the next one, guys, though, I'll see you later.